Welcome to another episode of the JCMoseleyFC Podcast. We are glad to have you here. Joining me as always is Christian. Good to have you with us, Christian.
Good to be back and happy to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be, we've got another great episode lined up. Obviously, as we're recording, the Champions League round of 16 games just got done. So we're going to talk about that. We'll kind of make our predictions for the next round as well. And then we will talk about the Europa League, Conference League, and kind of just do what we always do and see where it goes.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in and we'll start talking about the round of 16. So obviously, there were the two biggest games was Liverpool PSG and then Atletico against Real Madrid. Do you want to start with Liverpool against PSG? And kind of talk about how that one went.
Yeah, definitely. This was an epic, epic matchup. That was the match I was looking forward to the most. And the first leg completely dominated by PSG. Completely dominated. I think they had like 70%, possession during the game. Shots on target. I think they had like 33 shots. Let me actually check the stats right now. So yeah, definitely they had 27 shots. And Liverpool only had 2 shots.
Yeah.
10 shots on target. 1 shot on target for Liverpool. 71% possession. So essentially the game was completely dominated by PSG by far, not even close. And then guess who won the game? It was Liverpool with 1 shot on target, 2 shots, 1 shot on target, 29% possession. They still won the game.
Yeah.
With Harvey Elliott at the 87th minute of the game and scored. This is how cruel sometimes the beautiful game is. You dominate the game, you just can't score. Even you try 27 shots and 10 shots on target. But you also have to give it to Alisson. Alisson was brilliant. He had a really good game. And PSG too. They showed that the French league is definitely not a farmers league. And wow, what a game! What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that first leg was ridiculous with like the fact that PSG didn't score was crazy. But yeah, like you said, Alisson, I mean, that might be one of the best goalkeeper performances in like a single match that I've ever seen. The guy, like, nothing was going to get past the guy on that day. I think that match could have gone on for another 2 hours and he still would keep a clean sheet. Like, he was just unreal. But yeah, and I was very surprised because, Liverpool being as dominant as they are in the Premier League, and as dominant as they had been in the Champions League, finished top of the group and won all but one of their games. I kind of thought they'd come out and dominate a little bit more, maybe not dominate, but at least be in the game more. So it was quite surprising to see them just getting pushed back into their own half and just doing a lot of defending. I'm not used to seeing Liverpool play like that. But yeah, again, like you said, the stats don't really matter. The only stat that matters is the score at the end of the game. And yeah, I mean, Liverpool won the first leg, but ultimately didn't matter for them in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. That was it was crazy. But obviously the second leg was even crazier because let me see the stats again for that game because I don't want to give bad stats on here. But definitely, I think the game was dominated by PSG again, even though they didn't dominate it as much as the first leg. But and then PSG technically won the game because they were during the time. Dembele scored at the 12th minute, scored a goal, so it was 1-1 on aggregate, and then it went all the way to extra time, and eventually PSG won in a penalty shootout, and PSG was just the better team overall in those 2 legs. Even in the second game, 21 shots, even though Liverpool also had 19 shots, 8 on target for PSG, 3 on target for Liverpool, 55% possession, 45% possession, so definitely it was a little bit closer, but overall, I think PSG totally deserved to go through, honestly. They dominated both legs and, the penalty kicks too, 4-1. So, Nobody
Yeah.
can say that PSG didn't deserve it or they barely beat Liverpool. They deserve to go through. And I
Yeah.
was very surprised because I was really expecting Liverpool to show up, especially at home, but
hmm
they just couldn't do it.
Yeah. It was in for some of the game, at least, it was kind of the opposite. That Liverpool, right at the beginning of the match, they had a lot of chances. I mean, Liverpool could have been 2 or 3 up after about 15 minutes, I think.
Mhm.
But then, one lapse in concentration and Dembele scores for PSG. And then I was quite surprised that there weren't any other goals in the game because both teams had a lot of really good chances throughout, not just the 90 minutes, but in extra time as well. I mean, PSG had some great chances in extra time too. Um, but yeah, I think we have to give a lot of credit to PSG and Luis Enrique for how they played in this tie. Like I don't think anybody expected it to be as close as it was. I certainly didn't. I mean, maybe that's my English bias a little bit, but I thought Liverpool were going to win quite comfortably. um,
Yeah.
and over the 2 legs, PSG were just really, really good. I don't think it's a case of Liverpool were bad. They
hmm
won the first leg. I mean, they were lucky to come away from the first leg with a win, really. But the second leg, I think they really gave a good account of themselves. They played very well and deserved probably at least 1-1 or something based on the chances. But that's, like you said, it can be cruel sometimes. Uh, it's the nature of the game. Having said that, though, yeah, I agree with what you said about PSG. I think they were just really, really good.
hmm
They're one of the most informed teams in Europe right now, anyway. For them to kind of, what was it? Didn't they win like 10-0 on aggregate for their playoff or something against West? Something like that.
Yeah,
I think it was
they
like
really
10 or
yeah.
11. They just dominated them, really. But and they've been in good form domestically too, which we'll talk about that
Mhm.
later. But I think this felt like it would have been worthy of being a final. Like, this tie was good enough to be a final.
Yeah, this was
It
good. Yeah.
felt like both teams were really, like, it felt like a really proper Champions League clash of two teams that are at the top of their game, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, nobody. I mean, I was surprised too that PSG showed up like that. It's not because England. I think the Premier League is necessarily better than the La Liga. But what I'm trying to say is that PSG, like obviously they beat Brest very easily, and then they had to match up against Liverpool. But I think that this is not the same PSG like that played in a group stage that barely qualified to the next round. It was a PSG that somehow got better over the Christmas break, and got a lot better. And then they just, I don't know, Luis Enrique just did a really good job at making sure that his players were ready for it. And it's a team that has been trying to win the Champions League for over a decade now. They've gotten really close in 2020, but unfortunately lost to Bayern Munich. And they've been trying. They've been adding all those players. They had Mbappe, they had Neymar, Messi, Cavani, Zlatan. They had so many great players that never were able to really like get to where they want to go. And now they are a different team now. They're very different now. They have different players. It's not the same caliber of players they had. They have like, I feel like it's more of a team now. And I've seen a lot of people talk about that they're actually a team. They don't care about individuals anymore. And they don't care. There's not a Mbappe anymore. And this is what the team is about. So now they're trying something different because they tried the let's buy the best players in the world and try to win. But now they're trying something different. Local talent, young talent, and homegrown players. And that. So I think Luis Enrique, what he's doing with that team is really impressive. So I honestly think that this might be the year this year, honestly, with what I've seen so far. But we'll see what happens next, to
Yeah.
be honest.
No, I think, well, we were talking about it and it's been thrown out there. Liverpool were coming into the knockouts probably one of the favorites to go on and win. Um, so for PSG to kind of knock out one of the favorites and just kind of do it in the way that they did as well. I mean, they've got a lot to be hopeful for, I think, in this campaign. They play Aston Villa in the next round, which we'll get to our next round predictions in a minute, but that would be an interesting one for them, and I'm sure they'd be well up for that.
Yeah, absolutely,
So
definitely.
well done to PSG. I think that's kind of what we can say. Good job to them. Atletico Madrid against Real Madrid, the Madrid derby. That was another very interesting, very good tie over the two legs. Should we talk about that first leg first? Real Madrid winning 2-0, 2-1. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that I miss Rudiger, but obviously I don't think he played the first leg, so I'm gonna talk about it on the second leg. But that was, I mean, I was expecting Real Madrid to win at home for sure. Maybe Atletico Madrid was winning in a tighter game. That was not going to be the best case scenario. But I just want to say something that I've been saying since the beginning of the season, that people needed to give time to Mbappe, and I don't think he scored during this tie. However, he's been instrumental. You know, for this team, he's been, even his presence alone, helps this team. But I just don't know what to say about Real Madrid, man. They just look unbeatable. They always find a way to come back from the dead and find a way, because they were not even the better team, even in the first leg, I think, right? Okay,
Yeah,
maybe they were better. I look at the
the
stats.
first
Basically,
leg was it was a very even game.
mhm.
3 really good goals. All of the goals from that were great. I thought probably Julian Alvarez's goal for Atletico was
Yeah,
the
it's impressive.
pick of those, was the best one of those 3. Brahim Diaz's goal was good too. But yeah, Real Madrid, they find a way, and I think moving on to the second leg, Atletico scoring after about 30 seconds or whatever it was, to make it 1-0. I kind of thought maybe they'd go for it a bit more, to kind of level things up again that soon into the second leg, to then kind of just sit back and defend for the rest of the match. I was quite surprised in a sense by that. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, because that's kind of the way that Simeone has seemed to have set them up. I know that one went to penalties as well, and there was a very big, contentious kind of moment that came out of the penalties, which we can get to. We can get to that in a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I think Atletico Madrid will be disappointed. They've never beaten Real Madrid in the Champions League, so every time they faced Real in the Champions League, they've lost to them, which has got to be painful to have never beaten your rivals in the Champions League. But it's as we always say, there's something about Real Madrid in that competition that they just find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, and the second leg, there, it was a very interesting second leg. So many things happened. For sure, like, it was Real Madrid technically won the game because it was 1-0. Actually, no, it was Atletico. I apologize for that, guys.
Atletico, yeah.
Atletico, won the game, and then it was 1-0, and it went to penalties. But Vinicius Junior missed a penalty, during the game, which was, yeah.
It was
What do you
not a
think
good.
about that?
It was not a good penalty. I know. I did see it, and it was it was probably one of the worst penalties I've seen in a while. Just not on target. Skied it completely up and over. At that point, I thought, well, maybe this is Atletico's day, right? Like, stuff's going their way.
Yeah,
I
they
was
scored
quite
within 28 seconds, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah, Paul Gallagher, our Chelsea golden boy.
Yeah, and I was quite surprised that Mbappe didn't take the penalty. I mean, he won the penalty. It was good skill and movement from him to get into the box and to draw the foul. I was surprised that Vinny took it and not him, but maybe they have, I don't know, maybe they have a system. But I would doubt that Vinny's going to take the next penalty. um, yeah, but then so obviously went to extra time. Not much really happened in extra time from what I can remember. And then we go to penalties, and it seems like everything's kind of going normal. Julian Alvarez puts his penalty in, and then there's some delay, and the referee's pointing to his ear or whatever. And I was kind of watching that, going, "What is going on?" And come to find out after the fact that the VAR said he touched it twice. So even though he scored his penalty, because he touched it twice, that's against the rules of the game. But instead of him retaking the penalty, they counted it as a missed penalty, which I was quite surprised by. I guess I don't really know what the rules are on that because I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I've never seen that before either. But VAR is a new thing in the game too. But apparently, it was a rule. I mean, it makes sense because you can only touch the ball once when you kick. You just can't just kick. You cannot just like pass the ball to yourself somehow. So it was very fortunate because if you look at the replay, he slipped. Like it's something that can happen very easily. It's very unfortunate. And then you have VAR, and the VAR had to call it. There's no way that we're gonna just let it fly. It had to be called. Otherwise, imagine it's gonna be like, oh no, Real Madrid got robbed, or UFR is like so against Real Madrid or whatever. And now people are saying because UFR is with Madrid. I'm like, it was a good call. That's what VAR is there for, to be able to make those calls that are not obvious.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, and I was going to say too. I mean, I struggled to see where the second touch was on the replays. It was difficult for me to see it, at least, but I guess apparently there's some technology within the ball where they can detect when it's been touched, and that's how they were able to kind of figure it out so quickly. Because I was surprised by that. Like I was thinking, looking at the replay, it's not conclusive. I mean, I think it is quite harsh. He's clearly not intended to touch it twice. I know it's the rules and it's the law and it's the way it is, but I feel like they could have maybe given him a chance to retake it versus counting it out. But I don't know. Maybe there's a reason for that which I'm not aware of. But I'd feel pretty hard done by if I was an Atletico fan, even if it's technically within the rules. It just feels like a harsh way to have something decided. But then again, the other thing is Atletico missed a penalty after their keeper, after Oblak had saved one of Real Madrid's. That was, I don't remember if that was the one following or they had a chance to kind of level it up or get back into it, but he hit the bar and he missed, and then Rudiger scored the winning penalty. So you could argue the Julian Alvarez call doesn't actually, that's not the pivotal moment in the shootout. Like they just counted it as he missed, but Atletico still had time and chances to get back.
Yeah, I think that they should have. Honestly, if I would change the rule, I'd say that you have to retake it because it wasn't on purpose. He slipped, he kicked the ball, and it was just very unfortunate. That's something that can happen. I think but the rules are the rules, and I think now UEFA put out a content saying that they're gonna try to see if they can change the rule about that, see if the player can retake the penalty, because I feel like at this point he should have retaken a penalty. Because let's say whatever happens when a goalkeeper doesn't stay on the line, doesn't keep 1 foot on the line, and stops the penalty is retaken. It's not just given to the kicker. So there's a double standard here. But again, I really don't like when people are saying that everybody is for Real Madrid. Real Madrid got saved by UEFA or whatever, because that was the rule, and they had to abide by the rule there. I really honestly recall this as a really great a really good call by VAR. I think that was great. This is what we want, and this is why I feel like obviously we're going to talk about the Prem later, but I want to mention how badly the VAR in the Premier League is horrible. they don't use it the right way. They just do terrible calls. And this is what this is for. This is what they have the technology. In 2025, we have all the camera angles, we have all the technology available. There's no reason to make major mistakes. And I don't think this was a major mistake. It was used the right way. The right call was made, and unfortunately went against Atletico Madrid. But the rules are the rules. You can kick the ball twice when you get a penalty. So
Yeah. And again, Real Madrid, I personally didn't think over the two legs Real Madrid were at their best. I don't know. I don't even know if you could say they were the better team over the two legs. I mean, they certainly played very well. I also thought that Atletico really gave a good account of themselves too. But Real Madrid find a way. That's kind of what they do.
yeah, absolutely.
Shall we talk about Bayer Leverkusen against Bayern Munich? Kind of the all German. It's not really a derby, but the all German tie.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I was kind of surprised that Bayern dominated as much as they did over the two legs.
Yeah, and that just I see a lot of people say how the group stage doesn't matter anymore in the Champions League as long as you go through. I mean, I'm seeing that now because Bayern Munich were terrible. I mean, they were not at their standard. They were not like, because usually the group stage Bayern Munich just like beats everybody, just smacks everybody. Like they just go through. There's not even a question if Bayern Munich is gonna go through or not. And here, they dominated both legs. 3-0 and a 2-0 at home. Harry Kane, man, this is his year. Harry Kane. I'm a huge Harry Kane fan. He doesn't play with Tottenham anymore, so I have no reason not to say that anymore. I'm a huge Harry Kane fan. He's a great player. He's finally on a team that deserves him. After spending like 10 years of his life in a club that he hasn't won anything in 10 years, but finally. And I'm really happy for him. He's enjoying himself. He's like one of the best players in Europe right now, scoring goals. He scored 2 goals in the first game. And correct me if I'm wrong, the second game, I think he scored a goal too.
He scored one, yeah.
And and Davis scored the other goal. So I really think that, I was kind of surprised because, they were terrible during the group stage. But it looks like they are coming back, and it's scary. The scary Bayern has reason, and it's like Europe is like everybody's like, okay, we thought they were gonna lose, but it looks like they're back, so it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
What do you think about it, Elliot? What do you
Yeah.
think
Well,
about
I think for me, kind of the surprise was they're playing against Bayer Leverkusen, who in the last couple of years, I mean, have a pretty good record against Bayern Munich domestically. And I think there's whether it's realistic or not, I think there is still some question around Vincent Kompany. I mean, maybe wait to judge till the end of the season. I think he's doing a pretty good job, if I'm being honest, but I know people will say that. So, and obviously Xabi Alonso has been fantastic at Leverkusen. So I was quite surprised that it was just so dominant from Bayern Munich. I know that Bayer Leverkusen had somebody sent off in that first leg, which I didn't watch the game, but I would imagine that probably had some kind of an effect. But at the same time, you also have seen games where teams get someone sent off and they just defend backs to the wall and they grind out a result, especially in a competition like the Champions League where it's a knockout. We're in the knockout stages. But yeah, credit to Bayern Munich for playing as well as they did and dominating, and 5-0 over the two legs against the team that's been their closest rivals in Bundesliga in the last couple of seasons is pretty impressive. So, yeah, I mean, credit to them and credit to Vincent Kompany, and they're on to the quarterfinals. I think I heard that Bayern Munich are the only team to reach the quarterfinals every season for like the last 5 years or something. I think I don't think
That's
I think no other team has got past or has got to the quarterfinals like the last 5-6 years in a row. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like that. So they're very consistent in Europe, despite the fact that they weren't as consistent the last couple of years domestically.
absolutely.
Yeah. Inter Milan against Feyenoord was one of the other ties that we had. I don't think there was really any surprises there, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think that Feyenoord had what it takes to beat Inter Milan. Inter Milan is also like obviously we're gonna talk about it later, rising in the Serie A. I think they're top of Serie A right now.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely Feyenoord. Yeah, they didn't stand a chance. So what was the final score again? You know?
Yeah, 4-1 on aggregate. So
Yeah,
Inter won the first leg 2-0.
yeah.
And I think somebody had a penalty saved in that game as
Mhm.
well. And then they won the second leg 2-1. So pretty comfortable for them really over the two
2-1,
legs.
and then they also beat them 2-0 away. So yeah, very comfortable. Because I mean, do you have anything else to say about that tie?
Yeah, not really. I mean, not really a surprise. Credit to Inter for
You want to go
getting it
with
done because
sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
I was going to say credit to them for getting it done because sometimes that doesn't always happen.
Yeah, that is true.
But yeah, Barcelona against Benfica. That was kind of a strange one with the first leg. Barcelona having a player sent off and Benfica kind of dominating a lot of that match. Couldn't score. Shout out to Szczesny, who had a good game in goal as well. If we're talking about Alisson having a good game in goal in that first leg for Liverpool, I think Szczesny had a very good game for Barcelona in that first leg too. And then Rafinha seems to be a guy on fire at the moment. He's just playing really, really well, and especially in the Champions League too. Getting the goal in that first leg to give Barcelona a 1-0 lead going into the second leg at home. I think for me, that was where Benfica lost it. I think Benfica's best chance of progressing, especially being against 10 men of Barcelona, they needed to win that home game, and they didn't do it, and that's what lost them the tie, I think, in the end. I mean, obviously Barcelona won 3-1 in the second leg. They were very, very good. We just have to give another mention. I mean, we've talked about him on this podcast before. Lamine Yamal, that kid is unreal, like unbelievable talent. But yeah, I mean, I think Benfica will be disappointed that they lost that first leg. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that I think Barcelona really. I mean, they did the job. Honestly, it wasn't a spectacular game. Spectacular. Sorry, it wasn't a great game for for Barcelona. I mean, they won at home, away from home, and then they won at home comfortably. And then, I mean, I didn't watch the game at all, honestly, to be honest. But Rafinha is on fire this season. He's scoring goals left and right and assisting everybody and dominating, the ties. So it's yeah, I think it's very impressive. Not impressive, sorry. It's like, I mean, I don't have much to say about this side because it was like I was expecting Barcelona to go through. It wasn't like anything. I didn't think anything else was going to happen, to be honest.
Yeah, and that was they ended up winning 4-1 on aggregate as well, which over the two legs is pretty comfortable. Should we look at Lille against Dortmund? That one finished 3-2 to Dortmund over the two legs. That was a very close one. It was 1-1 in the first leg. I think that was quite. I didn't watch the game, but I from the match reports that I read, it sounded like that was kind of a close one, difficult to separate the two teams in that first leg. And then Dortmund put in a good performance in the second leg to win away from home. Although Lille scored first, and then Dortmund scored again. So, kind of wondering, is it going to be another one where you can't separate them? But then Dortmund scored a pretty good goal. I'd seen it back in watching highlights, and it was quite a good goal to win the tie overall. And then they managed to see it out. And I think Lille, but again, like kind of alluding to what you were saying about Ligue 1, Lille really were in this for the whole time. They were in the game the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's a credit to French teams in the French league of kind of how they've upped their level over the last few years. And they are competitive now in Europe.
Yeah, I think that French teams have really improved, honestly. Even not just in the Champions League, we're gonna talk about the Europa League. They've been doing good too. I think they still have like two teams still in the Europa League. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy for La Liga McDonald's. I think they are doing good. PSG is obviously still in it, and they're one of the favorites to win. And Lille was. I mean, they put up a fight against Dortmund. I think Dortmund is more the experience that really helped them, honestly, because they were not great on both legs, but they did what they had to do to go through. That's all that matters at this point in the Champions League. It doesn't matter how you go through, even if you get like 10% possession in the game. As long as you win, it's all that matters. So that's what they did what they had to.
Exactly. Okay, there's two more round of 16 games. Arsenal against PSV. Arsenal, who have been having issues scoring goals in the Premier League, came out winning this 9-3 on aggregate, which is crazy. And I don't think, that first leg they won 7-1 away. I mean, I was really quite shocked that they won that comfortably. I didn't think PSV were that bad of a team, but again, I didn't watch that game, but to concede 7 goals at home in a Champions League round of 16 game, you deserve to go out. I'm sorry, you don't deserve to go through.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was one where the second leg didn't really matter because Arsenal they'd done it. I mean, you're not going to come back from 7-1.
Yeah, 7-1. How did they even manage to do that? Like, especially with all those injuries that and look at all the players that scored. I mean, I haven't really been following Arsenal, but like Timber, Muaneri, Merino, who the heck are those guys? Like Calafiori. I think Calafiori. I know this guy, but other than Odegaard and Trossard, I don't know anything else. I don't know anybody else. I mean, it looks like they play a lot. They have a lot of injuries, so they don't have a lot of players. But I mean, they did what they had to do. 7-1 away from home is impressive, especially in the round of 16. Even against a team like PSV that is not as great as other teams, but it's very impressive, I think.
Yeah, I think realistically, this is probably the Champions League is probably all that Arsenal have left to play for this season. I think they're too far behind in the Premier League title race to catch up to Liverpool at this point. Obviously, they're out of the FA Cup and they're out of they've been out of the League Cup too. So this is kind of their only shot at a trophy. So I can understand them kind of going all out in this competition to try and get as far as they can, but I certainly didn't see an aggregate score of 9-3 happening. That's kind of crazy, but yeah, they got it done.
And people are joking like the only goal they scored at the Emirates today, actually yesterday, the guy was like went to get the ball out of the net. I'm like, I mean that's the right thing to do, but like you're gonna score 7 goals, it doesn't make sense to me. But I mean they had to do what they had to do.
Yeah.
But do you have one more game to talk about?
Yes, Aston Villa and Club Brugge.
Wow.
So yeah, this was another interesting one. Aston Villa winning that first leg 3-1. That one was quite a close game in the first leg from what I remember. Villa scored pretty early on. Quite a good goal from Leon Bailey, I think it was, and then Bruges got the equalizer, and then in the last 10 minutes, Villa scored twice. They got an own goal and then a penalty to take a 3-1 lead back to Villa Park for the second leg, and then winning 3-0 in the second leg at home. So that's a 6-1 aggregate win. That's very comfortable for them as well, really. Unai Emery, he's just a specialist in Europe. That's all I got to say. And Marco Asensio too. We have to mention him as well. He's come in to Aston Villa on loan from PSG, and I think he scored like 6 or 7 goals since coming in all competitions since coming to the club in February. So he's just been he's made a huge difference to that Aston Villa side. He's got experience playing in the Champions League with Real Madrid, with PSG. Yeah, and then Rashford too. I mean, that's somebody that we've spoken about before as well. Rashford at Villa on loan has struggled at Man United, but seems to be doing pretty well at Aston Villa. I mean, good chance for him to rejuvenate his career, but yeah, I think I was expecting Aston Villa to win this over the 2 legs. I just didn't think it was going to be as comfortable as it was. But I don't know. What did you think, Christian?
Honestly, I was kind of expecting this. I was expecting Aston Villa to kind of win both legs. Yeah. I think they won both legs, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very comfortably. 2-0, 3-1 away from home and 3-0 at home, even though the red card helped in the second leg. But definitely, Aston Villa has been on fire in the Champions League this season. And, they have players like Rashford, Asensio that joined them, obviously, for the Champions League. I mean, why else would those players join no offense to Aston Villa, but why else would they join Aston Villa if it wasn't for the Champions League? And Disasi too, has been really great for them. I don't know if you've seen the games. He's a starter for this team, and he's been helping them reach their heights. But I saw in the press conference from Unai Emery saying that he wants to go further than that. I mean, if you're in the quarterfinals, might as well just go for the dream, right? Which is to win the Champions League. Imagine Aston Villa win the Champions League. This will be wow. This will be amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what happens with PSG. What they do against them. Obviously, we're going to talk about that too in a second here. But
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, honestly. I was expecting. I mean, I feel like the teams that I thought were going to go through, besides Liverpool, because I thought Liverpool was going to go through. Everybody else, I was expecting everybody else to go through. Aston Villa, Real Madrid, everybody else. So, I mean, it was a good tie. Aston Villa showed again that they're serious, that they know what they're doing. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Should we take a look at the quarterfinal ties then, and we'll kind of make our predictions. So Arsenal against Real Madrid, I think that's shaping up to be a really good one. Again, Arsenal have a lot of injuries, but they've got players coming back as well from injury. I just feel like Real Madrid, being Real Madrid, they're just going to find a way to win that. I think if you look at the two squads, Real Madrid's squad is better. They've got better players. They've got more experienced players in the Champions League. I personally don't see Arsenal getting past them. I do think it will be quite close, but I really don't see Arsenal winning this one. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. I think that yeah, and it's not because I'm a Chelsea fan and I really don't like Arsenal, especially I definitely don't want them to win the Champions League. But I think Real Madrid just has, I don't know, there's something about them. I don't think it's Arsenal that will stop them from winning the Champions League. Honestly, I don't think so. And all the injuries they had, and it's just Real Madrid and Mbappe. He's not gonna just let Arsenal. No, I'm sorry, it's not Arsenal that's gonna stop them. So I don't see it happening. I think Arsenal's gonna put up a fight, but at the end of the day, Real Madrid will do what it needs to do, like they always do, to go through. But it's gonna be an
Yeah.
exciting matchup, and honestly, it's the matchup that I'm most excited about, to watch. So April 8th, that's when it's gonna happen. So the first leg, so I'm really
Yes.
excited to see that happening.
Yeah. And then PSG against Aston Villa is the other tie in that kind of half of the bracket. I think that's going to be really good. Actually, I think if you'd have, start of this season, if you'd have told me Aston Villa were going to play PSG in a Champions League quarterfinal, I would have said PSG are going to walk all over them. But
Yeah.
again, Emery is just a specialist in Europe. He's
Mhm.
they strengthen the squad, like we said. I think too for him, going up against his old employers, PSG, where he was the manager at one point, might be a little bit of extra motivation for him. Having said that, PSG are in just such good form, and I think the way in which they just raised their game against Liverpool over the two legs, I'm gonna have to give it to them. I think this one could be a lot closer than people expect, but I think PSG will go through.
Yeah, I think so too. I think yeah, I have to agree with you on this one. But sorry, yeah, you said Real Madrid for Arsenal. Arsenal, I remember now. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be close. Honestly, it might even go to PKs like the other one, because I don't think that PSG is just have a walk in the park and just be able to beat Aston Villa. Because Aston Villa has what it takes to beat PSG. But I really feel like it might be PSG's year this year. Um, with this team, Enrique as a coach, and then this young team, talented, they play together as a team. And this is the most important thing about this game, is that it doesn't matter if you have Messi, Ronaldo in the team. If you can't play as a team, you're gonna lose every time. And here, Aston Villa, PSG has the opportunity to beat Aston Villa, probably play Real Madrid, and go to the final and face one of those other four giant teams. And I think they really have a good shot if they really try. So it's gonna be exciting to see what happens,
Yeah,
honestly.
absolutely. One of the other ties is Barcelona against Borussia Dortmund. Another good one. I think we're kind of left with a lot of good matchups here. I think Dortmund have been very inconsistent this season. I know they do have a lot of experience, and I think, obviously they did make it to the final last season, so I don't think we can write them off. But I just think in this moment, Barcelona are too good and are going to have too much for them. I think if Dortmund want to have any chance of going through, they're going to have to win in Barcelona. I think they're going to have to win that first leg away, if they want to have any chance of going through, because I don't see if Barcelona win that first leg, I don't see Dortmund coming back from it, to be honest. I think I'm going to have to give this one to Barcelona.
Yeah. Uh, whew. I kind of want an upset. And Barcelona hasn't been great in the Champions League the past 5 seasons, essentially. They've been average, And I think this isn't the upset I'm going to take here. And yeah, I think at least I'm going to go with one upset. I think I want to pick this one. And I think that Dortmund is going to beat Barcelona and go to the semifinal.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then the final tie, Bayern Munich against Inter Milan. Again, another one with, Milan in the final, Inter Milan in the final 2 years ago. Largely the same players that did that. They've got a lot of experience. They're flying high in Serie A at the moment, but I think this is quite a difficult one to call. I think Bayern Munich, it really could go either way. I do just feel that Inter over the two legs will be the better team, and so I think, I think for that reason, my prediction would be that Inter's going to take it.
You think so?
I think so.
I think the great Harry Kane is not going to let that happen. I really think that Bayern is going to go through on this one. That's my opinion again. Because Inter is a good team, but it's just Bayern. There's, I feel like they're really walking up in the Champions League. And every time they do that, they're just so scary, And I don't think it's Bayern that will stop them from going all the way. So, I'm sorry, Inter that will stop them from going all the way. And it's the only Serie A team too. Serie A hasn't been great. They haven't been across the board, all the European competition, they haven't been great, honestly. So I just don't think, I think it's going to be very close. He might even go to PKs, but I just don't think that, Bayern Inter has what it takes to be able to beat them.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Shall we take a quick pause here, and then when we come back, we can talk about the Europa League and the Conference League. All right, we are back, and we're going to look at the Europa League. As we're recording, those games just happened today, so fresh in the history books, if you like. I'll just kind of go down the list of what I have here. Tottenham against AZ Alkmaar, Dutch team. Tottenham won 3-2 on aggregate. I think Tottenham lost that first leg 1-0, but then managed to get the 3-1 win at home. I think, again, we can kind of talk about this a little bit when we talk about the Premier League a bit later, but Tottenham had a lot of injuries, and they're starting to get some of those players back now. And I think starting to see a little bit of a turn in their form because of that. And yeah, I mean, fair enough. Fair play to them for getting the job done. I think could have easily been disheartened by losing the first leg, but managed to get back in the second leg and win 3-2 overall on aggregate. So pretty good for them to be in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, good for them. I mean, that's all they got. So, I mean, I wish them the best. Honestly, I don't care. Like, no offense to them, but we'll see what happens. But obviously, when I talk about our fellow Premier League, neighbors, United, they actually did a good job. I mean, on aggregate 5-2, they trashed essentially Real Sociedad, even though the record held. But I kind of so briefly saw the game. They kind of dominated the game, the second leg, and again, that's all they have for. I mean, imagine they finish like 14th and they win the Europa League. This would be a great, very successful season.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna be in the Champions League next season. So, like those two teams, Tottenham and United, have nothing to lose. They literally have nothing to lose. They're gonna do. At this point, they should not even care about the Premier League, because what difference is it gonna make if you finish 12th or 17th? Yeah, 17th. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, it looks bad, but you rather put all your efforts. Just play the bench or play your academy players in the Premier League at this point, because you're not gonna do anything in the Premier League. So they're doing everything. Are they in the same bracket right now? The same salary bracket?
No, so they would if they were to meet, they'd meet in the final.
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we want to talk about the next game, Lyon and FCSB.
Yeah, Lyon and FCSB. Lyon winning that one 7-1 on aggregate. Can't say I'm too surprised. Again, another good win for a team from the French league.
Yeah, they are cruising. Is Marseille still in this?
No, they are not.
Really? Wow, they got knocked out.
So Lyon is the only French team left in the Europa League.
Europa League, okay.
That's
interesting.
But good win for them. Athletic Bilbao and Roma was one of the other ties. Athletic Club won that one 4-3 on aggregate. They beat Roma 3-1 at home today. Roma have had a little bit of a fall since they fired Jose Mourinho.
Mhm. That is true. Roma. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was not surprised. I don't even know why they fired him. I think they're just, like the bosses, whenever you don't get along with the top dogs, essentially, that's what happens.
Yeah,
It wasn't because of results. Sure, they had a little slump, but it's not a reason to fire a coach that has given you two back-to-back finals, given you your only European trophy ever. Like, he's done a great job at Roma, and now I don't even know where Roma is. You know? Wait, why are you mentioning Roma?
because they lost it to Athletic Club in the Europa League.
Oh, they were still in Europa League. Sorry, I thought they were gone already. Okay, yeah, okay, that
Yeah,
makes.
they
I
were
mean,
still there.
yeah. Oh, but they put up a good fight though. Like it was 4-2 in aggregate,
It
and
was close.
it was very close. But Matt Hummels, the red card didn't help at all. I don't think. Yeah, the red card didn't help at all. I think so. Um, yeah, but this was great.
Yeah. One of the others, Rangers against Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce, of course, managed by Jose.
Mhm.
Rangers winning that one on penalties. It was 3-3 on aggregate. Good for the Scottish team to come through in that one. Rangers, I think, have not been doing great. They've not been that good recently. I know they just sacked their manager recently as well, but they're doing well in Europe, so good for
Yeah.
them. I don't know. I mean, Jose Mourinho managing in the Europa League feels wrong to me. I don't know. I feel like the guy should be in the Champions League still, but maybe that's
Yeah.
me being too much on the nostalgia side.
Oh, that sucks. They were doing so good. Like because they lost the first game, and then went to the PKs. I mean, the PKs is just it's a lottery. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, as Chelsea fans, we always have a something for. I mean, I don't know about you, but like whenever a former either Chelsea player or former Chelsea coach, coaches like Mourinho is like no matter what you want to say about him, he's always gonna be our best. I mean, I think he's the best coach ever for Chelsea,
yeah,
honestly. Even though he has not won the Champions League, but for what he's done, he's really like transformed the club. He was the one
hmm
that started the new era of the club. So for me, he's a legend. And it's always sad to see his team, go like that, especially because he did what he had to do to come back and then unfortunately lost in the
yeah.
final. Um, but I mean, I don't even know why Rangers, they've been doing great in the Europa League the past few seasons. I think they've been a finalist even um, not too long ago.
Yeah, they were a couple of years ago. Maybe they were in the final, so they certainly have been doing well in Europe, and got to a quarterfinal. So great for them. Frankfurt against Ajax. Frankfurt won that one comfortably, 6-2 on aggregate. Though part of that was winning 4-1 today in the second leg. Ajax is another one of those teams, I think a little bit kind of like Roma, where you're surprised of how far they've fallen. I mean, Ajax was a consistent Champions League team for as long as I can remember, up until the last couple of years. And, obviously Ajax got to that semi-final in 2019 of the Champions League. Now they're kind of, last few seasons seem to be a regular Europa League team, and they've kind of fallen off a little bit. But Frankfurt, I think, are a pretty good team too. They're doing quite well domestically in Bundesliga, so good win for them.
Yeah, definitely. And we have one more game I think we have to talk about it.
Yeah, we have two more games. We have Olympiacos and Bodo Glimt,
Mm-hmm.
who I believe are a Norwegian team, but I might be very wrong about that. But Bodo Glimt actually won that one over the two legs, which I'm surprised by, because Olympiacos, of course, won the Conference League last season. They were the Conference League winners of that of the tournament, to kind of go out against Bodo Glimt. I mean, I don't really know anything about Bodo Glimt, to be honest. So sorry to any Bodo Glimt fans out there, but I wasn't familiar with your team's game.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Like, I don't even know. I don't think I've ever heard of them ever.
Yeah, they
But
I know I
them.
I know they've been in Champions League or Europa League before, but they're one of those teams that they're kind of always in a European competition, but they never really do very well. But they made it to a quarterfinal, so well done to them. And then Lazio and Victoria Pilsen is the other one, which I don't really know anything about Victoria Pilsen, to be honest. Lazio won that one 3-2 on aggregate, so they obviously made a pretty good game out of it. But I think you would have expected Lazio to win that one over the two legs. Looking at the quarterfinals, you want to just quick predict what we think is going to be kind of the outcome of those quarterfinals. Tottenham against Frankfurt is the first one.
I will go with Frankfurt. No offense to Tottenham. Frankfurt is a really pretty good team, so Tottenham is just too weak right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close, but I think Frankfurt will probably take it over the two legs as well. I will admit maybe there's some bias of mine coming in that's saying that, but
honestly, like, that's the thing. Even if Tottenham wins the Europa League, I mean, it's not gonna change anything. Like, okay, good for them. I mean, good for them. I mean, I don't care. I mean, they've won. I think they have 2 Europa Leagues already. So, like, okay, whatever, good for them. But I don't see them winning it, so I'm not even worried about it.
Yeah.
Rangers and Athletic Club.
Rangers and Athletic, yeah. I'll be honest, I don't feel like I really know enough about these teams, these two teams, to make an accurate prediction. I think purely because Athletic Club, I can name like 2 of their players. I'm probably going to go with them. But I don't know that. Yeah, I think I'd go with them. But that's not based on anything other than a gut feeling.
Yeah, I think I will go to Athletic Club because I never want to bet against a Spanish team. Those, I don't know what's about those Spanish teams. They always find a way to go too far. I expect at least Athletic Club to go to the semifinal. So with Rangers, Scotland, hopefully I'll be there one day to visit, but I don't see them going through.
Yeah. Lyon against Man United. Probably going to be the most interesting quarterfinal in the Europa League. Man United are just they're just weird this season. I mean, they have games where they play really well, and then they have games where they're just really, really bad. And it just, I think honestly over the two legs, it depends which version of the team shows up for United. Saying that, I think just I'm going to pick Lyon on this one, and again, that might be because of my bias, because I don't like Man United, but I think just the French team's doing really well at the moment. I think Lyon will win. I'd like Lyon to win.
As much as I would love United to, Lyon to beat Man United, I feel like United is gonna do everything they can to go to the semifinal. So I will pick United on this one.
Cool. And then Bodo Glimt against Lazio.
Sorry, I don't want to cuss in this podcast, but what the heck is that team? Bodo Glimt?
Yeah. They're Norwegian, I think. Yeah, I think they're a team from Norway.
Yeah. Oh, that's what Holland should be playing. I'm just kidding. Anyways, yeah. So I mean, it's exciting to see what happens, honestly. But I think that I think Lazio. I think Lazio, and that's not because I don't know Bodo Glimt, but I think Lazio is gonna do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
Go. So it looks like we'll see what happens. But I
I
think
think
Lazio
so
is gonna
too.
win.
So well, let's move on to the Conference League. I don't think I don't. We won't spend time looking through all the results of those games. Probably partially because I don't think I can pronounce half the names of those teams, and I don't want to try.
Yeah, exactly.
So we will. But let's start with our team, Chelsea. Winning against Copenhagen over the two legs. I thought we were very unconvincing. Very kind of. I mean, we got the job done. That's all I care about in the end. But we didn't really play very well over the two legs.
Honestly, I'm very worried. I really thought we are gonna just like go through this and just like beat everybody like nothing, but I am very worried. And it's not just because of how we won both legs. It's mostly because of this team is unpredictable. You don't know what they're gonna do. One day they can be like the greatest team, they can play the best football, but they're gonna find a way to lose, or they're gonna find a way to tie the game. And in cup competitions like this, it's just Chelsea's by far the favorites to win this competition by far. Nobody even comes close to Chelsea. But in those teams, it is about who shows up. For 2 games. That's all. If you show up, even you can play against the best team in the world, but if you show up for 2 games, you do a really good job for 2 games, you can beat anybody. So we play against a team that I never heard about, Legia Varsova. That I think they're from Warsaw, so like Poland, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Real Betis, maybe Fiorentina, the only 2 teams, but they are on the other side of the bracket. So if we don't get to the final, Masquera, whatever his name is, gotta go. And I don't care. I mean, we're probably gonna get top 5 or top 4 this season, which is a great accomplishment for us. But if you don't go at least to the final of the Europa League Conference League with the teams that you have in front of you, you don't deserve to coach Chelsea Football Club. I'm sorry. Like, in the Abramovich era, yeah, you would have been gone the next day. There's no way. We need to win that Conference League. I'm gonna be really upset if we don't.
Yeah, and I think again, probably a bit biased, but we should beat Legia Warszawa. I think there's a very realistic scenario where we make it a lot more difficult than it needs to be. But I think we will beat them over the two legs. And yeah, I agree. Like, if we got to win this competition, really. I mean, I don't think there's any excuse not to. Yeah. And, worrying at the moment with some of the injuries that we've had, but then also the form of Cole Palmer just hasn't scored in 7 or 8 games, I think, now. And I mean, he's still trying. He's still putting himself out there. He's definitely looking like he's lacking a little bit of confidence and a little bit of that cutting edge that he's had before. But, I also think with some of the other players, Jackson, Madueke being out injured, he's got a good connection with those players, and they all play well together. And I think them being gone has affected his game a little bit. But yeah, the way that we kind of just limped over the line in this one, was a little worrying. And I will say we were quite lucky that FC Copenhagen were quite rubbish in the end. They were pretty bad. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna attempt to pronounce the name of the opponents of either Real Betis or Fiorentina.
Let me try real quick. Jagiellonia Biolis. Yeah, I'm good.
I don't know anything about either of those teams. I don't know where they're from. I think you have to say that it would kind of be a shock if Real Betis and Fiorentina don't win their games.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a shock, but
and then they would face each other in the semis, which would be kind of an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, we got really lucky to be on that side of the bracket, so we don't have to face any of Real Betis and Fiorentina. So this should be a walk in the park for Chelsea. I think the team that we beat today, and also this past round, Copenhagen was a pretty good team. I've seen them in the Champions League a few times. We played them in the Champions League a few times too. So I think that we have a pretty solid path to the final. There's no reason at this point. This should be a formality to just put the team out there, win those 2 games, those 4 games, um, you know, and then face Real Betis or Fiorentina. But I'm predicting Real Betis and Chelsea the final. I mean, I'm gonna go straight to the point at this point.
Yeah,
But we really have to win this competition. There's no reason why we shouldn't win this competition. We have the team, we have the coach, we have everything that we need. And if we don't win, it's gonna be a massive failure, a very huge disappointment across the board, complete failure. And if
yeah,
you don't get top 4 this season, it's gonna be a disaster for Chelsea.
yeah. I agree. The other game, Djurgården and SK Rapid. Don't think I've heard of either of those teams before. If we win, we'll play one of them. Again, looking at those 2 teams, we got to be favorites. Like the other 3 teams on our side of the bracket, we got to be favorites to get to the final. Like, it would be an embarrassment if we don't.
It'd be very embarrassing.
Yeah.
Super embarrassing.
Yeah. So those quarterfinal games will be taking place 8th, 9th, 10th of April for the Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League. So as we're recording, 3 or 4 weeks away, this episode will be out before all of those ties happen. So you will be as much in the dark as we are about the outcome of those. But yeah, really looking forward to what these European competitions have in store for us. Let's take another quick break here, and then we will go around the leagues.
All right, guys. So we're gonna talk about around the leagues. We're gonna start with the Premier League, the magisterial Premier League that we love very much, that my brother Elliot and I love. Chelsea Football Club. Kind of disappointing, but we somehow are still in the top 4 race. So this is great. I'm happy. Even though we could have had another 9 points, would have been more comfortable in this, but we're still, after 28 games, there's 10 games left. We are 4th. We have 49 points, 2 points behind Nottingham Forest that I have no idea what they're still doing there. No offense to them. And Manchester City, 2 points ahead of them. Do you think we'll make top 4, Elliot?
I don't know if we make top 4. I think we maybe make top 5, which, the way it's looking, it does look like the Premier League's going to get an extra, a 5th Champions League spot due to the kind of results throughout this season that English clubs have had. I think top 4 still has to be the goal because there's no guarantee. Just looking at the fixtures that we have remaining for the rest of the season, we've still got some tough games, and the way that we're playing at the moment and the form that we're in, I'm not super confident, but I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna make top 4. I mean, we have some pretty tough games. I think the toughest games we have Arsenal this weekend, which is kind of scary, to be honest. And we have Liverpool. But other than that, the other teams are totally beatable. I mean, no offense to Tottenham, but they haven't been at the best. So, yeah, we should be able to beat them. But Liverpool and Arsenal, these are the teams that we might be dropping points. Even United, like, we can be United, even though we haven't had a really good history of beating United the past few matches that we played against them. But yeah, I think we might make top 4. Honestly, I don't think it's gonna be a walk in the park, but especially because our biggest opponents right now, City's still behind us, even though it's only 2 points. That's still behind us, so that counts. Aston Villa is 4 points behind. 4 points behind us, and Newcastle are 2 points behind us. But I don't really see Newcastle as a big threat. So honestly, it's gonna be up to us. If it depends on how badly the players want. They are even though they've been not very good the past few games, we're still in a position where we can make it to top four. So it depends on how badly they want it. They have 10 games left. It's like 10 finals. At this point, we only have 10 games in the Prem. We have two in the Europe, 5 in the Europa League, the Conference League. If we go through, we beat all those teams. So you have 15 games left in the season, 15 finals. You just give your best here. This is the final stretch. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think too. Obviously, after we play Arsenal this weekend, we've got the March international break, which I think is actually coming at a really good time for us. I think our players need it, especially to get people like Nicholas Jackson, Madueke, even give a rest to people like Reece James, who's still coming back from his injury struggles, and Romeo Lavia. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
So I think the international break's coming at a good time for us. I don't know. I'd love to be as optimistic as you, but I feel like the last 2 or 3 years of being a Chelsea fan has knocked all of the optimism out of me. So,
but at least we're not Tottenham fans. This is what I'm grateful for. We're still Chelsea fans. We're still lucky, even though it's been bad the past 3 seasons. But do you think that Arsenal still has a chance? Because at this point, there's nobody else can compete. You see the Arsenal or Liverpool for the Prem. Arsenal have 1 game in hand, so they're still technically in the race. If they win their game in hand, they're only gonna be 12 points behind Liverpool. So do you think that they have a good chance? So you think Liverpool pretty much?
I think at this stage, with 10 games to go, it's over. To be honest, I don't see Liverpool dropping enough points. I mean, yeah, they'll be disappointed to go out of the Champions League, but they went toe to toe with one of the best teams in Europe at the moment. They lost on penalties. They have a Carabao Cup final this weekend as well. They're a really good team. They're playing really well. Very controlled, very calm almost. I don't see that. And I think especially with the injuries that Arsenal have and the problems that they've had scoring in the league. I mean, obviously they, as we talked about, they beat PSV quite easily, but in the league they've struggled for goals. I personally just think it's over at this point.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on this at this point. But yeah, let's move on to La Liga McDonald's. I mean, there's no surprise here. Obviously, the mighty PSG towering the league with 65 points after 25 games played. And remember, they don't play 38 games in Liga anymore. I believe they play 34 games, so there's only 7 games left. No, what am I saying? 9 games left. So I think this is pretty much wrapped up. Honestly, they have 16 points ahead. Like I don't see anybody catching them. Do you think that there's a chance that the mighty PSG is going to lose their title?
No, season? I think they've got it wrapped up as well. Really, I mean, mathematically, yeah, it's still not done, but I don't see them, especially the form that they're in at the moment, and how well they've been playing just across the board. I'd be shocked if they don't win the league.
Okay, yeah. So Bundesliga, Bayern Munich is cruising through. Oh my goodness, I'm cheering for Harry Kane, man. It's not because you're like you're English or anything. It's just I've always liked Harry Kane, a really good player, and he deserves a trophy, man. It's gonna. I think this is his year because they are 8 points ahead of Leverkusen, and there's only, I think they play less games too. So there's like 34. There's only 9 games left, and they are 8 points ahead. I mean, unless they start losing games left and right, I don't think that they're gonna, they're gonna lose. So I really see Bayern Munich going through here, winning the title.
I agree. I think obviously Leverkusen were really, really strong last season. They didn't lose. They were never gonna keep that up.
Okay, I know I'm doing a weird face right now. That's because Dortmund is 10th.
Yeah.
What the? What happened to them? 35 points, and they are, oh, no, I don't think they're coming up from 6 points from top four. No, 7 points from top four. Wow. I don't know what's going on with Dortmund. I know they got the coach, they fired the coach that took them to the Champions League final last season. It's a team that is going through a lot right now. But wow, this is very impressive.
Yeah, it's a shock that they're that far down.
Mm-hmm.
They got some rebuilding to do, I think. But yeah, I think Bayern are going to win the title. I think we'll finally see Harry Kane get his trophy.
Oh, my goodness. I swear to God, I think once they win the trophy, like I don't want a picture of his smiley face in our podcast of him like being so happy and dancing and like, yeah, we need that, bro. Like he deserves that, that respect because he's a great player, for what he's done for England and what he's done for Tottenham. Even though he's not, that's just crazy how you had Harry Kane on your team and you managed to not win the Premier League. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the amount of goals, I mean, I think he's second overall in the all-time Premier League goal scorers. He scored over 200 Premier League goals, one of only 2 players to have done that. And none of them counted for anything.
Yeah, the thing is that, like if he played for a different club that won things, he would have probably been called one of the best.
Yeah.
But you can't say that anymore because he hasn't won anything. There's nothing to show for it, which sucks. He's come very close in the Champions League with Tottenham. He's almost won the World Cup with England. Very close. The Euros, very close. So twice too, like, oh my, like that sucks. Like losing 2 Euro competition finals, like this hurts. But hopefully that's this year. Honestly, I really hope he finally gets that shit done this year.
I hope so too.
Serie A has been very interesting this season. Napoli had a really head start here. I don't know if you recall it. They have a really good head start, but they're pretty much dying right now. So they are 60 points. They have 60 points. They're only 1 point behind Inter that is topping the league right now. And Juventus has 52 points. They're fourth. So who do you think is going to win this race?
I mean, out of all of the European leagues so far, this is probably the at least that we've reviewed so far, this is an actual title race.
I agree.
Inter are such a strong team. I mean, they really are. I think they've got to be favorites to win the league, but 1 point above Napoli, 3 points above Atalanta. It's close. It's really close. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'd probably pick Inter to win overall, but I would not be surprised if I'm proved wrong.
I think Inter's gonna get it done. Like I don't know what's going on with Napoli. They had a head, so they're like 5 or 6 points, and now they're one behind. It doesn't look good for them. I think Inter has what it takes. They have the momentum to, especially when a team like is so far behind and overtakes the other team, they're like unbeatable. That's always what happens. So I definitely think that Inter has what it takes to win. So now we have 2 more leagues: La Liga in Spain, which is actually a great title race this season. Like I see that as a new leader every time. So I've actually been following this competition this year. So Real Madrid, obviously they're always the favorites no matter what. They are tied in points, but they just have a different goal difference, quite a bit large actually, 15 points. And Atletico Madrid is third right now with 56 points. So honestly, it's hard to call, but I'm gonna call it, not because I like Real Madrid, but because it's Real Madrid, and I think they're gonna find a way to win this thing. Honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. One more thing before you say something. It looks like Barcelona has 1 game in hand. I forgot to mention that right now, as of today, 57 points, 1 game in hand. So, I really think that it's gonna be exciting. But I still think Real Madrid is gonna go through. Honestly, that's what I think. But what do you think?
Yeah, this is probably, out of all of the leagues, this is the toughest one to call. those top three are just pushing each other. And like you said, the league keeps changing every week, it feels like. I think, obviously, I mean, if Barcelona win their game in hand, that's going to put them in a strong position. But we have seen similar situations this season where one of those three has had a game in hand and they've lost it, or they've drawn, or they've missed the chance to extend their lead a little bit. So I think this one will come down to the very last. I'm gonna say Barcelona win it, but I don't know. I'm probably wrong, but I'm gonna say Barcelona win it.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So now, last but not least, La Liga Portugal. Sporting, wow, they've actually lost a lot of ground from the last time we talked. They're 59 points. They're only 3 points ahead of Benfica, and it looks like Benfica has a game in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So this is also a good, exciting title race. I don't see Porto coming back, even though they are third right now with 50 points. I know there's only 9 games left. I don't see them coming back from this. But I think it's going to be Benfica and Sporting. And I'm going to predict that Benfica is going to go through. He's going to win the title. That's what I'm saying here. But because Sporting they've lost their coach, and they drew the last 3 games. That's how they drop points. They drew the last 3 games. So, and Benfica has been winning the past 5 games. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. But this is my prediction.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence that since Sporting lost their coach, the gap's been closed. It's disruptive to lose a coach in that way. It's not like the coach got sacked or was doing badly. He was basically picked away by Man United. I think I'm gonna have to go with you on this and say I think just momentum's a huge thing in football. I know obviously both Benfica and Sporting unbeaten in the last 5, but Benfica, I think I'd back them to overtake Sporting and to get the job done in the end, especially with the game in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah,
okay.
Great. Well, that about wraps it up for today. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks for joining us. We would love to hear from you in the comments. Feel free to share your thoughts. Like the video if you want to. Subscribe to our channel. You can find us on social media as well. We will, we'll be back next month, and looking forward to talking more about how things have progressed since then.
Yes, we're looking forward to seeing what happens, honestly, in the Champions League and all the title, competition, as well as around the league. So see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time.